Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Pointy Not Sharp. Today we're taking a look at the Swedish model of 1867-89 bayonet. Now this is a particularly interesting bayonet because, as you'll see, it has a coil spring push button, and I believe it's the only bayonet, socket bayonet, to have that modern feature. Now I don't usually cover socket bayonets. I'm not terribly interested in them myself. So if you want to see more of this kind of content, guys, comment below and let me know, and I'm happy to keep making them. I've got 2 or 3 sockets I could cover, but I don't find them particularly exciting. I don't know how much you guys really want to see them either. That said though, guys, please make sure you subscribe to my videos, subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I've got at least another 50 videos on the way. I'm covering a lot of really interesting bayonets very comprehensively. So make sure you subscribe and follow. Now, this bayonet was made to fit the Swedish model of 1867-89 Rolling Block rifle, chambered in 8x58mm rimmed Danish Krag. That was an updated version of the Swedish model of 1867. So the model of 1867, it was updated because it was chambered in 12.17mm, which, black powder cartridge, it was ballistically the worst cartridge in use in Europe. It was absolutely shocking. And Sweden was looking at updating their rifle. It's a couple of years after smokeless powder was released by the, really discovered and started to be used and adopted. So they updated their rifles to a smokeless powder cartridge, being an 8x58mm rimmed Danish Krag, which was a pretty damn good cartridge. Now, the original model 1867 rifles were made by 3 companies. They were made by Husqvarna, Carl Gustaf, and they were also made by Remington. However, Remington only made a very small number. When these rifles were updated to the pattern we have here, I believe 102,000 were converted, and the conversions happened between 1889 to 1894. The actual conversion itself was completed by Carl Gustaf's City Rifle Factory. And the first, I can't speak for the rifles, but in terms of bayonets, the first of the bayonets to be updated were the ones made by Remington. So I probably should have clarified that of the model 1867 socket bayonets, 100,000 were made by Carl Gustaf, 120,000 by Husqvarna, and about 10,000 by Remington. Now, 102,000 were updated to this configuration here. And the reason that all of the Remingtons, or pretty much all of the Remingtons, were upgraded to this configuration is because they were of the worst quality. So while all the Swedish ones had a steel blade and a steel socket, the Remingtons had a steel blade and an iron socket. So they weren't quite as nice as what we have here. I should really point out right now that this is a giant bayonet, very, very long, like... For size comparison, here is a phone cover. It's quite large. It's not as big as your Martini Henry sockets, which doesn't even fit in frame, but still quite large. Now, when the conversions were carried out on the rifles, the first thing they did was that they shortened down the barrel a little bit, and they obviously swapped out the barrel for a barrel that would take 8mm. Once the barrels had been shortened and replaced, they also added new sights, and because they now had a much smaller diameter barrel, they needed a new bayonet. And rather than fork out the money coming up with something new, they just replaced the sockets. So, as you might be able to see here, we've got a little bit of brazing where the socket meets the shoulder, and they literally just took the old sockets off, put the new ones on, and brazed them in place. This one, I really like these actually, because I'll get to it shortly, but there's just so much cool information. We've got serial numbers, unit markings, we've got manufacturer's markings, we've got inspection stamps, multiple inspection stamps. So that's the kind of stuff that gets me really excited, and there's plenty of it on here, as well as this really uniquely shaped cruciform blade. I love how it just sort of flattens out in the bottom, and yeah, the blade sort of starts down there. That said, actually I'll cover the construction of the blade right now. So, when you think of cruciform blades on sockets, most people go straight to the Mosin-Nagant 91/30, and that finishes with a screwdriver head. This has just a rounded point. So you see when I spin it, it's not flat on the end at all. It's pretty strong, and as I previously stated, it's got a cruciform blade, so 4 sides to it. Quite a long blade, and terminates down here in the shoulder. I really love this look down here. I don't know I'm not great at describing sockets, guys, so please excuse my clumsiness. Then the shoulder, moving up, as previously discussed, connects onto the socket. Now, we've got our coil spring push button just here, which controls a ramped lug on the inside, as you can see there. So it'll slide onto the rifle without having to depress the button, and as the lug passes over the ramp, it will push it across, and then once it passes the end of it, it'll snap in place. And to release it, you just press the button and slide it off, same as any bayonet. The only other real feature on here is we have this little, I don't know what you call this, recess underneath the press button, and that's to accommodate the cleaning rod which sticks out the bottom. So when fitted to the rifle, the socket obviously goes over the barrel, and there's a little lug underneath the barrel that interacts with the lock and catch and the press button. But then the cleaning rod itself comes out the bottom of the fore end and slides just under the push button, so that's why that recess is there. Now that's pretty much everything to do with the construction. It's a socket bayonet. There's not a terrible lot that goes into it. It's not a utilitarian tool. It's just a shank that you stick on the end of a rifle and you stick into the bad man, try to push him off a horse. But what makes this one really, really cool in my opinion, as I said, is the markings. So we'll start with the manufacturer marking. It's down here on the right shoulder. So we've just got our C with the crown above it, and that's the marking for Carl Gustaf, same as on all of the later bayonets. Now, while this blade itself may have been a Suspector Husqvarna, when it was updated, it was given the Carl Gustaf manufacturer's mark on the right shoulder. Now, either side of that manufacturer's mark, we have inspection marks. I'm going to take it off camera quickly so I can read it out to you. On the left, I've got JB, which I believe is the Husqvarna inspection mark. And then on the right, I've got a GM, which is a Carl Gustaf manufacturer's mark. Now, I've got some tables here, which I've pilfered from an online website. And they show all of the names for the various inspectors. Now, the inspectors themselves were not contractors. They were actually military members, so staff sergeants and officers for the most part. Now, that's the inspectors. The other markings we have 2 other markings on these. We have a unit marking on the left side of the socket, and this is very, very well stamped. They're all very well stamped, and this is in fantastic condition. It's got a heavy blue to it. I don't know if that's really helped retain the finish. Well, it's obviously retained the finish because the finish is the blue, but stopped corrosion, but it's done a fantastic job. Now, the unit markings on these, first you'll have a number, which will be the regiment number, and then next to that you'll have the type of regiment. So this one says RB, which is infantry regiment, so the 1st Infantry Regiment. Then underneath that you have a number, which is on this one 2885. So this is number 2885 from the 1st Infantry Regiment. Now, a lot of the other unit markings will have another number in there, and that comes after the regiment number. An example of that would be 25R for regiment, so 25th Regiment, then say 4K, 4th Company. K would be an abbreviation for company, and then same as what we have here, underneath we'd have number 102 or what have you. The only other marking you come across is a serial number on the left shoulder. And this one here is 9974, so reasonably low. I have seen one of these with 100,000 serial number. Now, I don't know if those serial numbers were the original serial numbers for the Model 1867 bayonet, for the Model 1867 rifle, or for the updated bayonet, or to match the updated rifle. I haven't found a terrible lot about the serial numbers, so if you know, comment below, and we can all have a scroll and find out. Anyway, guys, that's really all I have to say about this bayonet. I don't collect sockets myself, so I will be moving it on. If you want to pick it up, it's going to be on eBay in the next couple of days if you're down here in Australia. But yeah, I'll be moving it on and making room for something that's a bit more up my alley. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. As always, if I've made any mistakes, please feel free to comment below. And thanks for watching.